All right, Dr. Ekuru Aukot, let me get to you. Your view about what has happened and if it cures this challenge, because the president said that they have enacted a law in consultation with the judiciary.
First of all, I mean, let's just put the context right. I think we are also dealing with a government or a president who has many times said that he does not care what the judiciary decides. So he has no respect for the rule of law, he does not respect court orders, and he will try to circumvent them by whatever means. And we've seen many examples of that. The housing levy is one of them. And I can see Mheshimiwa is even struggling to actually tell you what is the formula of taxing Mama Mboga, the wheelbarrow guy that President promised to bring into government. Because if you are unsalaried, how then do you determine the income of a person? That formula is not there. So the law that was passed actually is, for me, it's a law that's not enforceable at all, especially in the context of Kenya, where we are dealing with an unemployment of upwards of 60% or whatever percentage it is. So then how do you tax those? And let me also say this blatantly. I think this is the presidency of William Ruto is what now Kenyans can agree was a long con. It was promising Kenyans heaven and earth that we will do this for you, Mama Mboga, we will do this for you, mtu wa wheelbarrow, mtu wa mjengo. But now, look now, the law that Mheshimiwa have passed in Parliament is actually punishing that person that they aimed to uplift. Okay?
How does it punish? Because
if you are saying today that you want that Mama Mboga, the wheelbarrow guy, to contribute to a housing levy, okay, let's talk about Kenya. A typical Kenyan would probably try to invest either to build a house at home in the rural areas, or is servicing a mortgage, or has taken a certain loan. Now you are telling him or her that you now want you also to build another flat apartment for somebody else. We don't even know the formula on how the redistribution of those houses will happen. So that's one context that I think Mheshimiwa here did not take into account when they were passing this law. And of course, we also know that President William Ruto has manipulated Parliament. He controls it, including members even of the opposition, who, when it comes to debating and voting for a critical law, they actually walk out. So they don't actually represent their people. They don't take into account what the people who sent them to that bunge actually want. And I think for me that's the tragedy of our representation today. So you have a government, a president on one hand who says, I don't care what the courts of law decide. I don't respect the other arm of government called the judiciary. But because I've taken control of Parliament, I'm going to force whatever my policies are or my decisions are, even though they were not actually promises during the campaign period. And that's a fact.
But the housing was a promise, Mheshimiwa.
Well, but did he say exactly how he's gonna do it? In fact, if I was to say to allow this government to probably use some of their debt, the borrowing, maybe they should just borrow this money from wherever and build this house instead of burdening the ordinary Kenyan, including your camera people here, including you, Gituku. Yeah. I'm sure you are paying a mortgage for example, or maybe paying rent, but now you are being told, let's build houses. And we have not been told the formula of how these houses will be redistributed or who. Today, if you ask me, I have a commitment, to where I live. And so how then do you want me, if I contribute to this house, and this is one of the biggest, the stickiest questions that has never been answered. What is really the form? Where is this money by they going to?
So, Doctor, you raised an important question about whether this was in the promise. I'm looking at the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, and it's on housing and settlement. For instance, the urban housing, they said that increase the supply of new housing to 250,000 per annum and percentage of affordable housing supply from 2% to 50%. We will achieve this by structuring affordable long-term housing finance schemes, including a national housing fund and cooperative social housing scheme, so that will guarantee offtake of houses from developers, and also to grow number of mortgages from 30,000 to 1 million by enabling low-cost mortgages of 10,000 shillings and below possible.
But you see, it still doesn't answer the question that you also raised, the discriminatory aspect of this housing levy.
Yeah.
So what happens to somebody in my village in Kapedo or Mandera, to Dunyang, or, you know, even the villages in the part of this country? So why are we only looking at people in the urban areas? Why not all Kenyans? Because I'm assuming the policy as proposed by Kenya Kwanza was about all Kenyans.